All stations, this is launch control. Crew is locked and ready. Stand by for terminal count. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition confirmed. We are go for launch. We have liftoff. Taking creativity to the cosmos.
Yo, what is good, Creative Fam? Brandon Washington here, and I am so excited to be hanging out with you guys today. Hopefully y'all had an amazing Thanksgiving. Obviously, if you're in the U.S., we celebrated Thanksgiving last week, and hopefully you guys had a great one. You guys had a chance to sit back, relax, enjoy the family, and reflect on life and how thankful you guys are. I know that this year, Thanksgiving was insane for me because I think I've had more to be thankful for this year coming out of the crazy season I've been having towards the end of this year. As you guys know, I obviously had a pretty rough October with a good amount of my stuff being stolen, but it was the people. It was you amazing Creative Fam folks who made it possible for me to get out of that season. And I just want to set the tone, let the record show. I am bouncing back. I am in my bounce back season, and I am so excited for this next year. Today, we have an amazing guest, but before we get to her, I got to give some shout outs to everybody who's been rocking with this show. First off, shout out to my boy Jarrell in the chat right now. Also, big shout out to Doc in the chat right now. Generator Podcast. I see you every week, my boy. It was good to hang out with you at Creative Camp, but it was also just amazing to see you here every single week. We got Jamaica in the building right now. Mighty Media in the chat right now. Kevin in the chat right now. Mark is in the chat right now. Y'all, it has been amazing. Eddie in the chat right now. Nika in the chat. What's good, Nika? So good to see you. We are so excited. You know, it can be so easy to overlook it can be so easy to overlook the small things. And I got to tell you guys, I've been just reflecting over the last few days, reflecting over Thanksgiving, and I'm just so thankful. I also celebrated my birthday a couple days ago, so it's kind of like a whole big moment right now. And what I have learned is that time keeps moving forward. We have to keep moving forward, but we got to be there together to do that. And so I just wanted to take a moment and thank you guys for being amazing, for being an awesome Creative Fam, and for making this year amazing. I'm just super thankful. So I just wanted to start the show there. But today, it's time for us to continue to get back. If you're new to the Launchpad, this is a little different than the show we do on Friday Uncensored. The Launchpad is all about growing, getting better, and talking with amazing creators who are doing amazing things. The entire antithesis of this show was to find great creators and bring them on and have a conversation with them. And today's guest is no different. Now, I do want to give you guys a little bit of a preface. Today's guest, I actually met her ironically through Clubhouse, if y'all remember what Clubhouse was. I met her originally through Clubhouse. Then we had the pleasure of working together at Vid Summit. And since then, I have continued to follow her content and to learn and to grow. And what I love about not only her content, but how she does her content is that she has a system created to be successful, which if you guys know, if you guys are like me, we're creators. Sometimes it can be hard for us to stay locked in and get the stuff done that we need to get done. And so I'm super excited to talk with her because we're going to learn a lot about her system today. Now, full transparency, Millie is a new mom, and so today's episode, my conversation with her, we did have to pre-record the conversation, but that is because I wanted the information that she had to give to show up to you guys today. So please, I'll be in the chat, continue to engage in the chat. If you have any questions, I'll be answering them live. I'll be here live, and we're not only gonna do the first part of the show, but then we will launch over to the Ecamm channel to be able to finish this out. And trust me, you're gonna wanna stick around for the Ecamm side, because on the Ecamm side, we talk about not only how to go viral, but how to also get your first, not 1,000 followers, but your first 100,000 followers. And so all that and more on this episode, but I'm super excited about my conversation I had today with Millie, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. Let's hop into it. Well, hey, Millie, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to have you on the show.
I'm stoked to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks for making this whole thing work. I'm very transparent with the show. And so I appreciate you working through the whole, let's do a pre-recorded sort of live stream thing. But I know that you have a very massive audience, whether that's on YouTube or social media, Instagram, TikTok, all the different places. But I would love to know, because I always am so confused today when it comes to like how people like label what they do, you know, like influencer, content creator, filmmaker, because we all kind of have to wear like 1,000 different hats. Where do you find yourself? Like, do you find yourself as an influencer, content creator, educator? I'd really love to hear kind of like how you define what you do.
Yeah, I defined what I do or my role as an online educator, because across all three platforms, I'm focused on educating, teaching, and that realm. So I usually introduce myself as an online educator and YouTuber, since YouTube is my main focus.
Okay, that's interesting, because I feel like, obviously, I guess it's different per person, but I feel like I engage with you more through Instagram, probably because that's where I spend way too much of my time. But it's so interesting to hear you say that you classify yourself more as a YouTuber, and that's where you spend most of your time. And I wonder if that's how a lot of people like engage with your content. Like they consider you an Instagram or TikTok, if that's where they see you more, but you see that you spend most of your time on YouTube. Why is that?
Yes, because one, YouTube has always had a very special place in my heart. And when I first started my journey, the goal was to be a YouTuber. Like, I love YouTube. That was always the dream. And for me, a lot of my short form content that I teach, it actually just comes from my long form videos. So my main role, I am scripting and researching for long form and for YouTube. And then that gets repurposed. We're not like cutting YouTube videos to repurpose across short form. You notice that, but I will rescript and reword things specific to short form content. So a lot of what I teach in Reels, TikToks, it's just crafted from YouTube scripts that I've already done. So that's why it's YouTube at the forefront, and then everything else kind of trickles from there.
Noted. So make sure I'm watching YouTube so I'll get the information first, because by the time it shows up on Instagram or anywhere else, I may be like a day or two behind.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. I always like to know that, because I always tell people, like, when it comes to like learning like tips and tricks, like you need to learn them as soon as they're taught, and you need to implement them immediately, because if you wait too long, they might not work anymore. And that's like, obviously, like, I mean, there are certain staples, you know, titles, thumbnails, that kind of stuff that has always stayed true. But like, as far as like, you know, using different like hashtags or using trendy sounds or doing just like trends in general, if you're not quick, you might as well not even do it, because it's probably going to change before you get a chance to implement.
Yeah, that everything moves so fast paced with social media, and especially short form content. It's great to be right on the nose with strategies as they come out. And for some of my YouTube videos, some of those don't even make it to short form content, because in my head, I'm like, this probably won't even land with a short form audience. So there's so much that I teach on YouTube that also never makes it to Instagram or TikTok.
Okay. All right, cool. So good to know. I will make sure that I am there on YouTube first, and then I will prioritize the other elements later. Now, I know that the first time we met in person, we were both speaking on a stage on behalf of Uscreen, but I wonder, do you remember the first time we actually talked?
Was it at Social Media Marketing World?
No.
Or was it still at VidCon?
Oh, this is gonna throw you because you probably don't even remember. So the first time I actually spoke to you was on Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Do you remember?
Shut your face.
So-
How funny.
So I remember I was in this, like, I didn't know really what Clubhouse was, but I was in some random Clubhouse on YouTube, and you know how back in the day they like put you up on the stage or whatever inside a Clubhouse. So I go inside of this Clubhouse deal. Somebody puts me up on stage because they know me, and we're just like answering questions. And funny enough, you show up and you ask a question. And I like try to answer your question. Somebody else tries to answer your question. But while I'm answering your question and somebody else is helping you at the same time, I go look you up in real time and I go, what the heck am I doing helping her? Like, she's absolutely crushing it. I got no business asking you or helping you in any way. Like, you should be helping us. You should be up on the stage. But that was like the first introduction to you that I had ever had. And what blew me away in that moment was how, even though you were already successful, and this was like 2020, 2021, when Clubhouse was really popping and whatnot, you were still constantly trying to learn and to grow. And so as somebody who educates and somebody who is constantly like, you know, putting out new content consistently, and we're going to get to how you do it consistently because I think that's insane. But the fact that you're able to keep doing that, how are you also finding time and sort of prioritizing learning new things and growing yourself?
Yeah, learning to me is one of the most important parts of my creative process and my business as a whole, especially being in social media. Everything changes so fast, like we had talked about, that being able to learn on the go and every week has been a priority for me. For me, follower number, because we were talking about like Clubhouse and asking questions, follower number doesn't equal level of knowledge to me. I will soak in anyone's wisdom as much as I can whenever I can, because to me, I don't think I am like the number one, I know it all in this industry. And the more I can learn from anyone who has experience that I don't have, the more I can help my audience. That's all I see it is as long as I am leveling up what I know, then naturally I'm able to help my people. Naturally, I'm able to level up my audience. The more I know, the more I'm able to teach. So that's always been important to me. For me, how I learn, I learn mostly through consuming YouTube content. I don't love scrolling short form for learning because I feel like there's so much you can take out of context with just a 30-second, 60-second video, whereas long form, I feel like I get understanding of backgrounds and better information. But also where I do a lot of my learning is deep dive internally with my team. So we will constantly be running numbers and researching, okay, what is viral on Reels right now? Let's plug this into a spreadsheet, check to see like what got this video to go viral? Was it the text? Was it this? How can we figure this out? So we're running tests within the business and also trying to learn and discover new things, not just, okay, what does this person teach, but are there things in the industry that isn't being taught, and can we uncover those to then help others see success too? So it's just a normal part of my business flow that I do every single week.
Well, I always wonder this, especially with somebody who, you know, I never want to perceive or put on that somebody is busy, but by your content upload schedule, it definitely feels like you have a lot going on, or at least you're doing a very good job at staying consistent in all those different areas. And so I always wonder, when you have so much kind of going on in your business, how do you prioritize what is worth learning and what is worth sort of skimming? Because I feel like, especially now, because there's more social media platforms than ever, they are busier and bigger than they ever have been. And then you add in this new technology of AI that's kind of just getting injected into everything. How do you know when is the right time to deep dive into something, or when is this something that, isn't necessarily worth your time to fully learn out?
Yeah, for me, I'll answer for me and then I'll also kind of answer for someone else who wants the answer to that question because the answers might be different. But for me, how I figure if this is worth learning is if it's a constant question that my audience is asking me. And so if people are always saying, "Hey, I got this video to go viral, but it's not turning into followers," where's the disconnect? Why am I not getting followers from viral videos? If that's a constant question that I keep getting asked from students, from followers, that's something I'm going to take the time to research. And just there's also a time where like you don't take the time on things. I tried to do a deep dive video where I was like, oh, I really want to figure out, I had this cool spreadsheet idea for how to break down video types and high effort, low effort, the different video structures. And I spent maybe 4 hours trying to brainstorm this cool layout. And after 4 hours, I was still nowhere. I was like, I have to scrap this idea. We just got to scrap it.
Okay.
Maybe we'll come back to it. But I put in some time to try to get that to work and it just didn't work. So for me, I really try to have a pulse on where my audience is struggling and I take the time to deep dive there. And then for someone else who wants to figure out, okay, like where do I skim and where do I go deep? I think you skim on the surface level of maybe you're consuming short form content or scrolling on YouTube and you're skimming to find topics that you're interested in, or you scrolling to find a tip that really resonates with you. And then once you find something that like hits and you're like, ooh, that is different. That clicked for me. That is a creator that then you'll deep dive on their content. So then you don't have to deep dive on a topic and then learn from a bajillion creators. If you resonated well with one person, I would say deep dive everything that they have and spend your time there, because something they have is worth diving into, as opposed to so many different creators have different opinions on niching down and if you should niche down or not. And there's no right or wrong answer, but it's about finding the unique teaching style that resonates with you and a unique person that resonates with what you need.
Yeah, I think that's so good. And I think we kind of naturally do that is because it can be hard to try to learn everything. But if you can find that creator that, that you resonate with, that you trust, and that you like the content that they're putting out, it does sort of help that process. What are you doing, when it comes to like creating your content for the people that you help online? What are you trying to do to stay ahead? Because I do believe that as a creator, you can, sit back and wait for the questions to come in. But I feel like when I look at your stuff, you're always like just ahead of the curve, which is great because you're ahead and then I can learn from you and continue to move forward with you. But it does start to feel like you are a little bit ahead of the curve. So what are you doing on your own time outside of getting questions from your audience to try to stay ahead of the curve, to know where your audience maybe needs to be looking next, so that way they're ahead of everybody else as well?
I feel like there's 3 things that I do pretty consistently to stay ahead, even though for me it never feels like I'm ahead. I feel like I'm always like behind and need to like, oh, I need to catch up, I need to post this. But the 3 things: one, I have been consuming a lot more business focused books and podcasts, not just social media, like this is how to grow, this is how to niche down. It's more like business minded. This is how to level a business, and kind of thinking of my content channels as a business as a whole, and acting more, how do I act more as a CEO with my posts and with my content? So I think that mindset adjustment has shifted just the content I create as a whole and what I choose to post and what I don't choose to spend time on. So that's one thing. Another thing that I believe helps is consuming content outside of my niche, because I think when you are kind of in the world of whatever platform you're wanting to grow, let's say you want to grow on TikTok and you're consuming all sorts of content, coffee videos, day in the life, sports documentaries, plants, you're consuming all of it, you really start to see an overarching trend of like, oh, this thing is working well across all the industries. It's not just social media tips. You're really getting a pulse of like, oh, wow, I saw this hook on this type of video in this industry, on this creator in this industry. And so actually branching out for me and consuming content way outside of my niche has opened my eyes a lot to see what other creators are doing and seeing success with. And then the third thing that I think helps me stay ahead, and I think I have proof of this, is the deep dive videos that my team and I do, where one of the first one, maybe it wasn't the first, but one of the first ones we did was a short form deep dive where we analyzed shorts to see, okay, what makes viral shorts on YouTube? And this is when we discovered the hook layering strategy that so many people teach now, but this is what we discovered maybe 2 years ago, or I think it was 2 years ago in that deep dive video. And I was like, okay, I haven't heard anybody else talk about this, but this is what we figured out. We put everything in a spreadsheet, and I told my researcher, I was like, hey, I want you to try to find like that hook, that one hook that is the common thread. And he ended up finding like, actually there was like 3 different hooks all in the first 3 seconds. And I was like, okay, all of these videos have multiple hooks in the first 3 seconds. There's a visual, there's the text, there's the audible. That is the common theme. That is the viral worthy. And now everybody teaches it. They call it like hook stacking, hook layering, the hook trifecta, like there's so many words for it. But the deep dive videos where we are taking the time to, okay, let's deep dive now on what's viral now. That's helping us kind of stay ahead because we're putting in that hard work to watch each video, do the spreadsheets, find the columns and the common factors. So I think those are the 3 areas that we're doing pretty consistently.
And how much time would you say you're allocating towards being able to do some of those deep dives so that way you can stay ahead? Like how much, like I know it's hard with every week being probably so drastically different, but maybe like in a month, how much time would you say you're allocating towards just like making sure that you're staying ahead of what's all going on in the industry?
It's very little for me. So it's maybe like an hour a week, excuse me. And my team, let's say we post maybe 1 deep dive video a quarter because deep dive videos take time. So that shorts video, I think took us 3 to 5 months to research. And there's another video that we're currently working on with titles, thumbnails, and video packaging. And that's one that we've been working on since August. So it takes time. And like I said, I had that one idea where there was the spreadsheet idea of all the video types and the effort levels, and it didn't click. So it takes a while as you're researching to figure out what's the story here. And for me, it's maybe an hour a week of doing that research. But in the background, my team is I have one person that it does it pretty consistently, maybe 4 hours a week.
Okay, so that's good. So you have somebody who's assisting you throughout that process because, when I hear, some of these concepts that are taking a while to learn, in filmmaking, there are certain elements that are just like consistent. Like they've been used from the dawn of time and from the beginning of film. But then social media feels like it's moving so fast that when I hear, we spent 4 months working on this video concept, I'm like, is the concept still going to work after the 4 months, or did you start it knowing it was going to take 4 months, but then it just sort of or just like gradually just kept taking longer? So when you are doing these deep dives and they are taking a long time for you to, I think as the audience, we appreciate it because we know that it's thoroughly researched. But have you had situations where the information is changing in real time, thus the video is having to change in real time? And when do you know it's like, hey, we just got to get this out now because it's all about to change?
Yeah, the title thumbnail one is one where we keep adding new videos and then we notice the videos we added a few months ago, are they outdated? Things are changing. So that's one where we're questioning, okay, how on top of this can we be? When do we just press the trigger and move forward with it? But most of the time we're picking just general topics that are evergreen in the sense of my audience will always be interested in the topic. So we can update our research on the back end to be more current, but the topic is always going to be interesting to the audience. How to make a viral short, that's probably always going to be interesting to somebody who wants to grow on shorts. How to make a viral title and thumbnail, that's probably always going to be interesting to somebody growing on YouTube. Same thing with how to make a viral reel, how to go viral on TikTok. Like those overarching trends, we know the trend or the interest is evergreen. That interest will always be there. We just have to make sure our research and the information we're presenting is matching in timeliness.
Gotcha. That's just such a really good idea. I've never thought about breaking it down that way, like making sure that the idea is what is evergreen, because, you know, when I make educational videos, I am typically thinking through like, okay, what can I make that's evergreen? Because the truth is that at least for my YouTube experience, you know, you release a video and sometimes it may not come out of the gate a 1 out of 10, but if the interest is there, give it time and it will naturally grow, and the people who find it will find value in it. So hearing that you're making sure that the interest for those deep dive videos is, you know, something that is timeless, and then trying to create the content in there enough to where it'll be, you know, long lasting. I think that's super interesting. And that's a pretty good way to actually break it down.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so now we're going to hop into a segment that we always do on the show where we're going to kind of ask and learn a little bit about your process and how or if you're implementing any elements of AI. This is a segment we do called What's Been AI'd. All right, Millie. Now, I know you have mentioned that you kind of sprinkled it in throughout the conversation that you have a team that's helping you, but I still want to know if or how much is AI integrated into what you are currently doing throughout your creative process?
Yes, we do use AI to help with increasing our efficiency with tasks.
Okay, cool. So I always ask this question to every creator, and it's not like there's no wrong answer, but there's also probably no right answer. But I always just love to learn from each creator where they draw the line. You know, like I mean, personally, I'm using AI in almost every aspect I can. Like I'm using it to generate video. I'm using it to create B-roll. I also use it for audio enhancements. I definitely use it to help me write scripts and to write in general, because I am publicly dyslexic. Never ask me to read publicly in front of anybody, and I will get everybody's name wrong if given the opportunity. But I would love to know for you and your team, where are you guys using AI, and do you have a hard and fast line where you say, okay, from this point, we will not use AI. I'm going to draw the line here, or are you just open to using AI wherever it can benefit the team?
The biggest line that I have drawn right now is, and I don't think this line will ever change, especially for me and my industry and what I want my business to be, but we will not use AI to like come up with our teachings or to be me. Like everything I teach is through like my brain. And yes, I use AI to help support my scripts. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm thinking for a video topic. Can you help me outline my thoughts in like a more cohesive flow? But any finalized scripts that I'm saying to camera, it is thoroughly read through and edited by Millie and Millie's voice. My team, they'll take my YouTube scripts and maybe plug it into AI to be like, hey, how can we turn this into 3 Instagram reels, right? And then plug those in. But then I never read those scripts word for word. I'm like, okay, how do we make this Millie? Let's make it Millie. Would I actually teach that? that is not something I would teach. We're not talking about that. You know, like it is very, yes, I agree with this. This is AI sucks. No, don't do that. That was not a good suggestion. You know, like what is being taught is so important to me, and making sure it's something I've actually tried, I've actually implemented, or if I haven't, it's success a student has seen and I've worked with a student on it. So I always want to make sure what I'm teaching really comes from me, my experience and my students' experience, instead of just like random tips pulled from the internet. And that's just in general too. Before AI was a thing, I would never teach something about, oh, do this Instagram hack, if Instagram themselves had never said that. They never verified it. So
Got it.
I always want to make sure resources are covered and everything is as truthful as can be, especially in the educational industry where I'm teaching. It's so important for that to come from me.
Yeah, I think that's so important, especially in education, because the truth is that like, you know, a lot of the basic information, if you will, you can go into ChatGPT and you can ask, you know, how do I go viral on TikTok? But it never feels like it's giving you like an honest answer. It just feels like it's just giving you the answer that will allow you to just move on and ask it another inquiry. And I can tell through your content that like, you're obviously focusing on real pain points that are happening in the moment. And so I can definitely feel that from your content. I wonder, outside of helping you to sort of like gather your thoughts and using maybe text boxes, are you using AI in any other elements through editing or through image generation or audio or any of those other areas?
Yes. So one tool that I use daily is like a voice to text AI tool called Whisper Flow, because I'm sending messages to my team a lot or responding to students in our Slack community. So it's just a app on my computer where I just press a button and then I speak my answer and then it converts voice to text and then I could send that out. So that's been really helpful. Even with scripting YouTube videos, if I have an idea, press a button, speak my script, it is written out for me. It saves a lot of time. We also do use AI tools for video editing. So we will upload a video to Gling AI, and that'll just like auto cut like that first draft where it cuts out the pauses, the mistakes, the uhs, the ums, and then that's like that first draft of a video. Then upload that to my short form editor, because I have a long form editors and then short form. My short form editor will upload that to Submagic to get some captions generated. And then he will take that into CapCut to then kind of millify it, make it a little bit more on brand with like pop-up images, B-roll, sound effects. And so that's kind of their process for using AI there. We haven't used AI much with thumbnails, but sometimes I'll brainstorm with ChatGPT like some titles for a YouTube video, but we haven't done any like image generation with AI.
Yeah, I will say that was probably one of the first areas that I implemented AI was in thumbnails, because I know Photoshop just enough to be dangerous. But I'm definitely not a professional whatsoever. And so once they implemented like generative fill, that made my life so much easier, because the amount of times that I took a photo, you know, horizontal or vertical and needed it the opposite direction and was like, oh, I'm in trouble. Like generative fill saved my life in all of those elements. And now I'll even just use it to like when I like, you know, I'll layer things in on Photoshop, but they're not layered cleanly at all. Like, you know, I didn't cut out my element properly or whatever. I'll just literally highlight that little section, generatively fill. And so Photoshop will sort of like clean that up. So that's been super helpful. And maybe you could maybe look into running that a little bit. But I noticed that in your thumbnails, speaking of, you are in them. And one thing I love, especially when I have to, you know, pull assets to create thumbnails for guests and things like that, is that you are different in every one of your thumbnails. So it doesn't appear like you're batch shooting your thumbnails. So are you creating individual thumbnails per video?
Yes, I do.
Wow, that's crazy. And you are, I mean, because you post so consistently, it kind of blew me away. And then so on top of that, you're also then editing all of those thumbnails. Are you doing that yourself, or do you have somebody on your team who's doing it?
I have someone on my team that does it. And basically, we will do like the packaging of a video before I film. So we'll brainstorm the thumbnail title combo and we'll have a few ideas for A/B testing. And that way, when I go to film, I'll do one recording. It's like maybe 2-minute video, one recording on my camera of me doing the poses for that specific package idea that we had. So it'll be like awkward and I'm smiling and posing or doing a shocked face. And I'm in the outfit that I'm filming the video because I just sat to film the video. But first, I did some poses. I stopped the recording, new recording for the video, but that little 2-minute one of me posing, I send off to my main YouTube guy who helps with like the whole YouTube flow, and he'll take those poses and turn them into thumbnails.
Okay, so we have this segment that we do called Cosmic Choice, where we ask you, sort of a would you rather type situation. But before we do that, I'm really interested to understand just a little bit more about your team, because I do understand that, you've been doing this for a very long time, and you're obviously very proficient at this point. But when you were first starting out, it wasn't a full team, right? So who is currently on your team, and in what order did you start bringing on these people? And if you can maybe briefly talk about like why it was important to bring on that person in that moment for your team.
Okay. Yes. So the first person that I brought onto my team was a virtual assistant. I needed someone to help me with engaging across socials, replying to comments, replying to DMs, and replying to inboxes. So I just got a virtual assistant, and they helped me reply so I could focus on the creation, because that needed to keep happening. And I was making money through brand collaborations, so I had income to spend and hire out on somebody to help me with that. And it was maybe, I think, 30 minutes a day they would spend with whatever engagement they could get done that day. And then from there, it was one-off hires. So it was maybe project based. I hired somebody to help me build my website. I hired someone to help me with branding. Brought on video editors to help with YouTube. So it was kind of just like project based. And over time I was like, okay, I really need to build a team, because there's consistent tasks that I need help with. And I would delegate anything that fell outside of my zone of genius. Now, I'm going to share everybody on my team. I also want to preface this by saying you do not need to have a team of any size. There are successful creators who maybe just have like one virtual assistant, and that is perfectly enough for them to run the business that they want to have. For me, scaling my business has always been a passion of mine, because I want to reach more content creators. I want to help more content creators. And if I'm able to take what I'm making and just give it back to my team so that we could reach more people, I'm going to. That's what I want to do, and that's just for me. Not everybody else has to do it. So don't feel overwhelmed when I start listing off people on my team. I also have most of these are contractors, and then some are agencies. So starting off, I have a digital business manager. This is basically the gatekeeper to Millie. You don't get through Millie unless you go through Megan. You know what I mean? She is the person who is protecting my time, helping me say no to things, and making sure I'm not spreading myself too thin. She'll take on projects before they reach me so that I don't have to do all the things. I can focus on YouTube videos, course videos, and my students. And that's really what my focus is. And she helps kind of filter everything else. I have my YouTube creative director. So Joel, he's been with me, I think, for 5 years, and he's actually my brother. We started a YouTube channel together in like 2009. And we had a channel maybe for 10 years, and it was so much fun. Wow. But now he works with me, for me, and he runs my YouTube channel. He comes up with, hey, here's ideas that I'm thinking we post next month. What do you think? Do these feel timely to you? Which ones do you want me to start researching and deep diving? So he'll get the start of a a lot of the topics, the ideas, the packaging. And then when that's done, he'll hand it over to me to fully script. And then when I film it and send it off to editors, he also makes sure he's reviewing the videos. They get scheduled, they get posted, links are there, timestamps, what have you. I'm going to kind of breeze through everyone else.
Yeah.
So we're on time. So I also have 2 funnels strategists to help with the customer journey for when somebody signs up for my email list to then maybe becoming a customer or a student of mine. I have newly a brand vision strategist. So she is like the overall project manager, I'll say. Any idea I have, she's like, cool, let's turn that into tasks, figure out who does what, let's make this ish happen. Social media coordinator, she's my short form gal. She's like, okay, let me take your YouTube scripts, turn them into short form content. Here is a list of short form videos I need you to film this week. Any photos I need from you and B-roll that I need from you this week. Here's 6 things, film it on your film day. I have a customer service. She replies to all emails, short form editor, long form editors, Pinterest and blog / SEO gal. That's all one. Pinterest, blog, SEO.
Wow.
And then I have brand collaboration manager, accounting, bookkeeper, and I believe that is it.
I fully understand your success level way more now because I mean, one, I totally understand the desire to grow your team. I think I do the same thing in video production. Like, I don't go do one-man band jobs anymore. I like to hire out my friends and bring on crew because when you can just focus on one area, you can just be way better in that one area. And so I think you having people who have designated roles and designated things that they're focused on, not only does that give you back your time to spend it with your family and to, you know, sort of enjoy life and have an actual work-life balance, but you also are giving other creatives the opportunity to, you know, do what they're passionate about and be able to use their skill sets through your content, which I think is really, really cool. But I now fully also understand, like, that's not necessarily what is a requirement, but I do love that you have thought through your process to say, these are the different areas, because I do know that, like, for me, even, like, sometimes I don't think through every single process to be like, oh, this would be great if I just had somebody else to do this. Or like being able to group certain tasks together because it's sort of same brain, same mentality, which could even be good, I think, for a creator who maybe doesn't have all those people, but can like sort of batch tasks together if they're thinking through like, okay, right now I'm in long form video mode. I'm going to just make sure I do that. And then when that's done, then I'm going to move into short form video mode and sort of think through that whole process. And then eventually, like you said, anything that doesn't fall within your genius, you can find somebody else who can step into that role, assuming that, you know, the finances work for that, that can actually take that and probably escalate it even further than what you could do on your own, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. My team has evolved so much and we're still evolving right now. Like coming back from maternity leave, I was like, oh, we could totally restructure and make it more seamless this way. I'm always trying to figure out how can we improve our systems internally and make sure everyone is feeling confident in their tasks. They have clarity on what their role is, what their goal is in their position. And also the most important thing is each person finds true joy and fulfillment with what they do. That is like, I used to end all of my YouTube videos with follow your joy. And that's how I would end my videos. And that was always a requirement when I would hire someone is I want to bring on somebody who truly finds joy in the position I'm hiring them for. And if you are operating out of that joy, then you love your job. You know, you're having a great time and you're happier. Maybe that team satisfaction increases. I have people on my team who have been with me for years because I believe, one, they truly love their job and the tasks that they're doing. And also they hopefully, which they have said, they found somebody that they enjoy working with. And I like to think that I've fostered a community with my team where they're like, yes, I really enjoy being here and working for you.
Well, I obviously don't know the inner workings of your team, but from the content, you guys seem to be firing at all cylinders. And so whatever's happening inside of the company, it is properly showcased through the content. So I can at least speak from that side of it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and hop into Cosmic Choice, because I've got a couple questions that I want to know from you that might be a little challenging, but I want you to, you know, just answer them honestly, openly, because I think we can all benefit from it.
Citizens of the cosmos, boys and girls of every galaxy, sit back, relax, and let your imaginations soar. Because the moment has arrived. It's time for Cosmic Choice.
All right. So the whole purpose of Cosmic Choice is to ask you semi-difficult questions, but it's so that we can understand a little bit more about yourself. So feel free and answer the question, and then you can give us as much or as little context for your answer. Now, this first question I was going to ask, but I'm going to still ask it, but I kind of feel like I already know the answer. But I'm going to slightly tweak it, so hopefully that maybe it causes a little bit more internal discernment. But would you rather take the deep impact that you get a chance to have with YouTube through education, or would you rather be able to hit scale with social media content and the impact that you get a chance to have at scale? Because I don't want to speak for your numbers, but typically on YouTube, you're able to go deeper with people because you have them longer, but you're not going to get out nearly as many videos or reach nearly as many views. But with social, you can reach a lot more people and put out more videos. So for you, which one would you say is sort of more meaningful to Millie?
To Millie, I would say YouTube and the depth that you can create there. Because to be honest, I don't enjoy creating short form content for my niche specifically. I prefer long form, and if I could just be on YouTube for the rest of my career, I would. But I know to reach other creators, and for what I teach, it's helpful to post, learn, create short form content. But if I had to choose, it would be YouTube.
I think I'm in total agreement. I have personally shifted more of my love to live streaming, which is really weird for me because I've been such a videographer, filmmaker. That's been my journey forever. But when it comes to content, so I totally understand following your own passion. But for my next Cosmic Choice type question, I would really love to hear from you when it comes to, you know, the way that you are monetizing through your social. And this is sort of a two-parter. For you, do you find that it is better for you to do your own digital products or to do brand deals? And for somebody else who's watching and considering what they should do you think they should follow in your footsteps, whether that be going through personal digital products or going through brand deals or trying to work with outside vendors?
I'd say digital products for sure, and having your own products, courses, offers that you can give and provide to your audience. Because for me, I've noticed I usually hit burnout quicker when I'm taking on more brand collaborations. And when you're taking on more brand collaborations, you're not really working for yourself anymore. You're still kind of posting and creating under someone else's rule and guidance and operations. So, and that can only scale so much because there's only so much of you that can create and take on brand deals. Otherwise, you're a walking billboard and you're just like, every short form is collab, collab, collab. You don't want to be that walking billboard. You want to be able to pick and choose those collabs that feel true to you and still have the freedom to say no and know that it's okay. I can say no to these brands because I have the safety of I'm making sales with my own digital products that I could scale, and it's me, mine. I don't have to listen to operate under anyone else's rules. I found scaling my own stuff is way easier than scaling brand collaborations.
I totally agree with you on that. I know that even for me, like I've always struggled with taking on brand deals through Instagram because I don't really, before at least this month, I haven't really like posted consistently like just organic content. So when brands would reach out, I was like, oh, I don't want to do a brand integration on Instagram because every post would then be a brand deal because I don't really post on my own. And so I totally understand that. And so as people are looking at this, I would want to know if, at least from you and sort of your journey, do you find that, long form brand deals are better, like on YouTube, or are short form social brand deals better because they're just quicker? But I know that it's not exactly apples and oranges.
Right. Especially like the word better is going to mean something different to so many people. So what's better for me might be different than what's better for someone else. I'm going to answer this for myself. I'm not going to say,
of course.
This is going to be better for you.
Yeah, just for you.
Okay. For me, I do prefer YouTube sponsorships because they don't feel as rushed or quick turnaround. I feel like with short form, it's like, can you get this video out next week? Versus long form, I feel like brands kind of expect, hey, can you fit this in your calendar within the next few months? And so that takes a lot of the pressure off of myself. And brands typically pay a little bit higher for a YouTube integration because YouTube videos, they are living evergreen on YouTube's platform versus a reel, which will get traction for maybe 48 hours before it might die off with the algorithms, quote unquote, the algorithms, right? Or just your audience. And the shelf life of a reel is so much different than a shelf life of a YouTube video. I have YouTube videos from years ago that are still getting traction and views. One video that I posted 2 years ago still is getting 11,000 views every single month. And that video, I actually did my own sponsored segment in it. I was like, this is sponsored by me. So it's cool to have that passive income kind of sponsoring myself, sending myself traction, but also those brands, they get a great return on investment if that video is constantly getting views over the next 5 years.
Yeah, I always think that's so cool when you do have one of those older videos that are constantly like generating for you and they're still getting views. I do want to quickly ask, a little off topic, is it ever strange for you, because I know I have this feeling, when somebody comments on a older video, let's say 5 years plus, and they're commenting to 5 years ago Millie, but they're commenting today, and you read those comments and you're like, that was 5 years, like that. You're so behind on the video release, but like, how does that feel to you when you see the comments on those videos that are so much older, but they're commenting like you just posted the video today?
Yeah, it's funny to me. I don't usually reply to those. It's just funny to me because I'm like, yes, that tip is outdated because this video is 5 years old, but that's okay. And even I look completely different 5 years ago, like short blonde hair, so it's like, how do you not see?
There's a little bit of a difference here. No.
Yeah, I'll let you learn. Maybe a few of my recent videos will pop up on your screen and you'll go, oh.
Yeah, I always find that super, super interesting. And that's one of the unique things that I love about YouTube. I heard somebody say this like years ago, and I don't remember exactly who said it first, but like every time you make a YouTube video, it's like making a little employee that can go out there and work on your behalf, but forever. And some of them are really hardworking employees generating, 11,000 views a month for years. And then some of them maybe, fizzle out. But the only way you'll ever know is by just constantly staying consistent. And so that's one thing that I absolutely love about what you do is that you're always consistent. And I think, everyone who's watching this right now can fully learn that from you, is that like you've been consistent. You've constantly kept your content coming out on a regular basis. And the biggest one is that you built out a system to be consistent, which I think is so important. And, getting a little bit of a sprinkle of your team and how you guys are doing it is, kind of crazy, but I admire it, and I personally strive to get to that place as well. And you've already given me a few things to think through, like, oh, just having somebody over YouTube makes a lot of sense instead of trying to do it all yourself. So I know personally I'm going to try to take some of those nuggets myself and implement them.
Yes. And when you do, let me know how it goes.
Oh, I definitely will. I think I've texted you a few times about different things that you've implemented and trying to work those into my system. But seeing somebody execute at a really high level, that motivates me to say, okay, Brandon, we need to do a little bit more. Like we maybe aren't where Millie is yet, but we can implement some of her strategies into what we can do at our pace. And I think that's so important, especially for other people watching this now. Like, learning little tips and tricks here and there, and then figuring out how to implement those, I think goes a really long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting 1% better with every system as you go.
All right, y'all. So this is just part 1 of this entire conversation. If you're new to the Launchpad, by the way, shout out to everybody who's in the chat right now. You guys are amazing. Having so much fun seeing you guys. I see you, APC Productions. I see you, Central Entertainment. And Doc, always dropping gems in the chat. So shout out to everyone who is rocking with us. But if you can believe it, we have another part of the show in which we go in even deeper when it comes to how we grow on social media. Millie has a strategy to not just get your first 1,000 followers, but to actually get your first 100,000 followers. And so in our next part of our conversation, we actually go in on how you actually go about doing this. Now, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. She actually charges for this information, but I was able to ask her the right questions to learn some of this information on how we go viral, on how we build an audience of people who actually want to hang out with us. So if it's your first time going on this journey with us, here's the cool thing. All you got to do is sit back and relax and enjoy the ride, because we have set up YouTube to do all the heavy lifting. So right now, we're going to get ready to end this stream, and all you got to do is relax. YouTube will automatically take you over to the Ecamm channel, where we will continue this conversation. And if by any chance you don't make that journey, go ahead and check out the link down below in the description over to the Ecamm channel, so that way you can catch the second part of this conversation. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I actually think that the second part of this conversation is even better than the first. So I'm excited to hop into this. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us here on the Creative Fam Live channel. Shout out to all the amazing people in the chat, and I will see you guys over on Ecamm's side. This has been such a great conversation, and I can't wait to continue it. You guys are awesome.
All stations. This is launch control. Crew is locked and ready. Stand by for terminal count. T-minus 10.